So I think I'm being laid off from my job today. If you couldn't tell by my appearance, I have been crying all morning. I haven't even had my meeting yet, but I got a calendar meeting today from someone I've never spoken to at the company, and a bunch of other people did too. So I am recording this because I feel like a lot of people can probably find comfort in knowing they're not alone. So we will see. Maybe it'll be something positive. Maybe I'm not getting laid off. If you are unaware, I was laid off from my full-time job exactly a month ago. I've had people ask me how my job search is going. If you couldn't tell by how puffy my eyes are, it's not going well.
That really sucks. Of all of the jobs that I've been applying to the last 2 weeks, it's definitely the job I was most excited about. Because oh my gosh. Wouldn't be moving forward with my application basically.
So I just got laid off. Spent the whole morning crying, but we're picking ourselves up, getting ready, taking a nice long walk, and hitting up a coffee shop to apply to some new jobs. So get ready with me as I talk about my first experience getting laid off.
I made the difficult decision to restructure the XD org, and as a result, reduce the size of the org. And unfortunately, you're impacted by this change. So your last working day is today.
I don't have anybody to lean on. I'm not rich. My family isn't rich. Sure, it's all gonna work out. I just don't know how it's gonna work out, but I'm sure it's all gonna work out.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but all the major news outlets that I listen to are saying how great, or at least they were saying how great the economy is and how unemployment is down, how inflation is leveled out and is trending down.
Everything is so great and flowery and blissful and oh my goodness.
But then I look around at my friends, at my family, at coworkers, and I think, are they lying to us? Because everyone I'm around, not everyone, but a lot of people seem to be struggling. I know a lot of people who have been laid off through the federal layoffs and layoffs at other companies that aren't federal. And I just hear stories when I bump into people into the gym and ask how they're doing. And it's always the same sentiment that people seem to not be doing that well. And they're being laid off and they're looking for work and it's taking them a long time to find it. So what's really going on? So for example, let's take a look at the tech sector. According to TechCrunch, the tech layoff wave is still kicking in 2025. Last year saw more than 150,000 jobs cuts across 549 companies, according to the independent layoffs tracker, this people that did the research. So far this year, 2025, more than 22,000 workers have been the victim of reductions across the tech industry, with a staggering 16,084 cuts taking place in February alone. And if that's not enough, the Department of Education has cut more than 50% of its workforce, and it plans to cut even more. And that's having a ripple effect and a trickle effect downstream, and is causing mass layoffs among teachers. And those are just two industries, not to mention many others in major companies like Amazon and Google and Tesla and Facebook or Meta having mass layoffs as well. So what does this all mean for you and me, and what can we do about it? Well, let's take a look and see what this person has to say, because I think she has some good advice on the topic.
I've been laid off 4 times in the last 10 years, and there are just some things that I've learned about employment in the United States in an at-will state. Gone are the days of working 30 years at a company. In fact, I see working at a company that long as ridiculous. If you are working at a company for more than 10 years, just know that you are getting severely underpaid. You're probably doing a lot more work than you should be, but you are undervalued.
So I'm gonna stop her there really quick because I have a very particular experience with this. So whenever I first graduated college, I changed jobs maybe every 2 years. And some of my friends and family looked at me like I was a little bit crazy. Like, dude, why do you keep on changing jobs? What's wrong with you? And I told them each time I changed the job, I would get an extra 5, 10, 50% raise, 15% raise. And it's because I know millennials got a bad rep for not being loyal to their companies. And I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't have some level of loyalty to the company that we're working for and some type of appreciation and respect. Absolutely. But what I will say is if you really do want to increase your income quickly, you have to move jobs, especially in this type of job economy that we're in now. This is not 1950, 1960, where like she said, you work somewhere 30 years, you get a pension, you sell off to the sunset. It's not like that at all. So I do agree with her there. I think that we have to continue to advocate for ourselves. If that means switching jobs, that's what it means. That's what it means.
Period. Companies have no loyalty to you. None whatsoever. So why should you feel personally attached to a company that is willing to let you go when the numbers don't line up? And again, remember, these decisions are being made because either bad decisions were made at the very top, or there are genuine market economic factors that are impacting a company maintaining that many staff on board. Nothing you can do about it. However, do not take employment personally. Use it as an investment into the things you actually like doing. For instance, I love homemaking. We're busy paying off a basement and putting together a playroom. There's a bunch of DIY projects that we're working on, and I want a job to fund that. So while yes, I take my job personally, as in the work that I am outputting, I want that to be good work. I want it to be valuable work. And I want it to be meaningful. When I show up to work, I want to feel needed, and I want to feel that I'm solving real problems. However, I am no longer placing any personal attachment to a company. And I think that's healthy. I think that there should be a healthy distinction between how I show up to work and how I am outside of work. Because I never want to regret not spending time with my son. I never want to miss another family event.
Okay, I think she's saying, like she said, have a healthy separation between your home life and your work life. I guess you could call that work-life balance. But to back it up a little bit, she said something that I want to touch on. She said, you want to make sure that you're using your money from your job to fund other things in your life. And she touched on it. She said something about designing and building a home. I don't know if she means from a standpoint of more of a creative, fun standpoint or a more CYA standpoint, cover your ass, if you so to speak. Because the way I look at it is, do your best work at work, bring your best foot, put it forward, put out good output, and have some type of connection with the company culture and mission. Absolutely, I agree with that as well. But I will say that you should take the money that you make from your job and don't just use it to have fun and live for today. I think you need to put it away. You need to invest. Okay, you need to invest. I'm not going to tell you what to invest in because it's not my job. I can tell you what I invest in. I invest in ETFs. I invest in index funds that track the total stock market, that track the S&P 500, that are growth stocks, and of course these big major companies, which essentially ends up being the ones that are in the S&P 500. I invest in real estate, which I know is not as easy to do now, but I have a few different rental properties. I have a good emergency fund, and I look for ways to make money outside of work, such as YouTube, which, you know, not there yet, but will be one day. And so the thing is, take the money you make from work and use it to build streams of income outside of work to CYA, because you never know when you might get laid off, when you might get let go. You just don't know.
And I want to continue to make the right decisions for my life, not for my company. They are willing to let us go at any moment for any reason. So we have always got to be prepared, have that emergency fund. And I agree with some of the comments from my last video. Yes, start a business. Like, if you can and are able to, start a business, get that passive income, because a 9-to-5, I think, is not the way forward for a very long time.
So she just dropped that last piece in there and then turned the camera off. And that's big. A 9-to-5, she thinks, might not be the way forward for a very long time. And you know what I've been thinking about, and I've read a little bit about it, I'm going to read more about it, is this idea of most people moving away towards independent workers, more gig economy, more self-employed. Think Uber Eats. Think doing side jobs for people like on Fiverr and Upwork. Think like a handyman going and fixing up houses for people, or think someone who knows how to program doing more contract work as opposed to being a W-2 employee. Things of that nature. People moving away from the traditional 9-to-5 in-office W-2 work, or W-2 work in general, because not everyone works in the office. You might be a nurse, you might be, now professional fields, they're gonna probably still be there because those are a little bit different. You know, nurses, doctors, attorneys, engineers, things like that. But then you have this white collar area, which seems to have a lot of disruption in it. And so with the white collar area, I do think that it's going to end up being fewer W-2 employees, more contractors, more gig workers, more 1099s. That just seems to be the way that we're going, whether that's intentional or unintentional, whether that's by the choice of employees or employers. I think it's a mixture of both. So I do see things going that way. So what does that mean for you and me? It means we need to skill up. We need to skill up. We must skill up. If you have a valuable in-demand skill, you cannot be turned down. Now, nothing's ever 100%, but if you have a valuable in-demand skill, let's say you're a top-notch programmer and you have a specialization in AI, you took a bunch of AI courses. Right now, you're in demand, you're good, right? And you always have to be continuously learning. But that's just one example. Or let's say, let's take it away from tech. Let's say you're a barber, right? To me, when I find a good barber, I stick to that barber like he's my pastor or something, or he's I don't know, because it's difficult to find one, and that's a great skill to have. So the point is, skill up. Even if you work a 9-to-5 or W-2 job, cool. Invest your time in that job, appreciate that job, be thankful for it, give your best foot forward, but also make sure that outside of work, you are skilling up and you're making yourself valuable so that if you didn't have that job, you can still put food in your mouth and your kids' mouth. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys for sticking around. If you made it this far, feel free to give the video a like and to subscribe if you feel so too inclined, because it really does help the YouTube algorithm and I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, make smart financial decisions.